Yajnaseni, The Story of Draupadi. By Pratibha Ray. About the author. Pratibha Ray is an Indian academic and writer. One of the best known novelists and short story writers in Odia, Pratibha Ray was a professor of education and taught in colleges in Orissa for a long period before she joined the Public Service Commission of Orissa as a member. She wrote poems secretly, without the knowledge of her parents. She was the first woman to win the Murti Devi Award in 1991. She is an eminent fiction writer in contemporary India. She writes novels and short stories in her mother tongue Odia. Her first novel Barsha Basanta Bashakha was a bestseller. She has received many honors including the country's prestigious Bharatiya Jnanpith Award. Her novel Yajnaseni was adapted as a popular television serial and telecast on the channel Sahara 1. And her novel Mahamoha was choreographed as an Odissi dance ballet. Critical analysis of the novel Yajnaseni, The Story of Draupadi. The novel Yajnaseni by the Oriya writer Pratibha Ray is a partial retelling of the epic Mahabharata, where the author foregrounds the episodes where the character Draupadi appears. In the epic Mahabharata, Draupadi, the royal spouse of the Pandavas, initially appears in the Swayamvara Pava in Adi Pava. She is continuing to appear in Vavahika Pava and Rajyalambha Pava in Adi Pava. The Duta Pava in Sabha Pava narrates the humiliation of Draupadi in the Kaurava Sabha. Vana Pava of the epic depicts Draupadi's life in the forest with her husbands where the incidents of Saugandhika Haranam, Draupadi Satyabhama Samvada and Propad, Harana by Jayadratha occur. In Virata Pava, Draupadi appears in the disguise of Sarandri where het humiliation by Kichaka is narrated. The Sauptika Pava witnesses the massacre of Draupadi's sons and the lamentations of Draupadi. The Mahaprasthanika Pava describes the fall of Draupadi during her heavenward journey. In Swargarohana Pava, Draupadi attains the heaven along with the Pandavas. In the novel Yajnaseni, The Story of Draupadi, Pratibha Ray chooses to narrate the story of Draupadi, or Krishna, as she calls her, without much deviations from the epic Mahabharata. She follows the framework of the story very closely and rarely ignores the divine interventions included in the Mahabharata. Pratibha Ray mainly depends on Vyasa Mahabharata, at the same time, admits that the Oriya Mahabharata of Sarala Das has influenced her to some extent. She also introduces certain imaginary incidents and characters that merge into the core narrative. The novel Yajnaseni is written in the form of an epistle addressed to Krishna by Draupadi. The whole life of Draupadi slowly unfurls through her thought stream. The incidents in her life, from birth to the denial of Swargarohana, have been strung together sequentially. A young Krishna full of zeal for life who lives with the knowledge that she has been born into this world from the sacrificial altar built by the sages and ascetics for the benefit of her father Yajnasena. My birth was not from my father's seed put from the sacrificial altar built for the fulfilling a vow. From even before birth, I was destined to avenge my father's insult. I was going to be the weapon for preserving dharma on this earth and destroying the wicked. With this inner knowledge that the aim of her life was preordained, young Krishna is seen waiting for her beloved hero Yadava Krishna, to whom she desires to offer herself as a wife. Her friend Nitambini is a character introduced by Pratibha Ray to lend authenticity to the narration of young Krishna's life. Traversing through the maze of thoughts in Yajnaseni's mind, the author is able to convey an impression of a deep spiritual influence of Krishna on Krishna. But dramatically, Draupadi's attentions are diverted to Arjun, who is portrayed as a second self of Krishna, who is verbally introduced to Draupadi by Krishna himself, who discloses to her that Arjuna is destined to be her lord. From this point onwards, Draupadi's dreams are centered on the dark-complexioned prince of Hastinapura, the alter ego of Krishna. She loses herself in the fantasies about Arjuna, who has taken birth from a portion of Krishna. In Vyasa's Mahabharata, Draupadi is introduced in the Swayamvara Parva where she appears before the assembled kings to garland the prince who successfully strings the very stiff bow specially made under Drupada's orders and shoots the mark through the orifice of a machine erected in the sky with 5 sharpened arrows. Pratibha Ray elaborately describes the arrangements made by Drupada for his daughter's Swayamvara, especially the arrangements made for target shooting competition, that would enable the victor to marry the princess. The author highlights Kama's performance at the Swayamvara the most. In a subplot at this juncture, Pratibha Ray deftly introduces the beginning of a love-hate relationship between Draupadi and Kama. In Vyasa's Mahabharata, it is seen that Draupadi herself rejects Kama saying, "I will not select a suitor for my lord." But Pratibha Ray's Draupadi thinks differently. She feels intense attraction for the handsome, radiant Kama, admiration for his deftness with the bow and sympathy for his fallen pride when the question of his lineage is brought up. She suffers deep sorrow and guilt when Karna is humiliated in the assembly. To develop this theme, Pratibha Ray does not make Draupadi mouth the rejection, but it is Drishtadyumna who belittles Kama in front of all the assembled guests announcing, "However a great hero Kama, the son of a charioteer Adhirath and Radha, might be, he cannot have the right to win my sister." This deviation in the characterization of Draupadi and Drishtadyumna's rejection of Kama helps Pratibha Ray to project both Kama and Draupadi in a different light. Draupadi's thoughts and words are justified when she is portrayed as a woman with an open, sympathetic heart and understanding person and a woman sans pride. Kama's hatred for Draupadi is rendered baseless by this single deviation. Thus, Pratibha Ray is able to develop the storyline where Kama and Draupadi, caught in their own worlds of mutual misunderstanding, false ego and guilt are unable to communicate with each other. Yet they are compelled to move in a close circle, meeting each other frequently where they are forced to direct barbed words at each other. This is made possible by introducing another imaginary incident where Kunti, recognizing Karna as her own son, accepts him as her Dharmaputra, so that she could express her love for him openly. She tells Draupadi, "Karna is my son according to Dharma, my Dharmaputra. I have accepted him as such. Morally, you should consider Karna in the same light as the 5 Pandav brothers. But it is his misfortune that he is the adopted son of a charioteer." Introducing certain incidents during the course of the novel further strengthens the Karna-Draupadi relationship. This is prominently felt when Karna throws a bouquet of blue roses at the feet of Draupadi, while she was being welcomed at Hastinapura as a royal bride. Draupadi happens to step on it inadvertently and her foot is hurt as a thorn pricks it. Kama promptly belittles her with his barbed words, "Beg forgiveness from the royal bride. I did not pain her deliberately. I know that the pain of being deliberately tormented in public is like, however, physical pain is much lighter than the agony of the mind. Considering this, may she pardon me." Another episode which is woven into the fabric of the story is the incident where Draupadi is saved from being drowned in the Yamuna by Karna. Draupadi, lost in thoughts of Arjuna, who has gone on a 12-year exile, carelessly swims in the torrential Yamuna, and is swept away by the current. Karna, who happens to be on the banks of the river, saves her from death. This action is, however, reciprocated by Draupadi in another incident in the later part of the novel. During the time of Vanavasa in Dayata forest, Karna was spotted by some Shabar youths, lying unconscious, wounded and bitten by a poisonous snake. Draupadi forgets her animosity towards him and revives him with the help of her superhuman power to control birds and animals. However, she ensures that Karna does not make out that it was she who had saved his life from danger. Draupadi's interaction with Karna does not end here. Disturbed by the imminent war, Kunti goes to meet Karna on the banks of Ganga. Draupadi, unaware of Kunti's intentions, follows her secretly. On the banks of Ganga, she witnesses the meeting between Kunti and Karna, and overhears Kunti's secret. This is an episode that has been created by the fertile imagination of the author. To foreground Draupadi as a woman responsible to everybody in the family, a woman who well understood the secret agonies of all around her. The Kunti-Karna meeting is extended further to the day of his birthday, where we see Kunti offering prayers for him and distributing prasad for his well-being. Here too, Draupadi is forced by Kunti to appeal to Karna to desist from war and establish peace in Aryavarta. Karna, however, declines her request and accuses her of persuading him towards suicide. This twist in the sequence also helps Pratibha Ray to establish another quality of Draupadi, a peace-loving person, who condemns war and yearns for equality among mankind. In Vyasa's Mahabharata, Draupadi is portrayed as a wife who exhibits the superhuman quality of loving all her husbands in an equal manner. The only incident, which stands contrary to this belief, occurs in the Mahaprastanika Parva when Draupadi falls down on the foothills of Himalayas. Yudhishthira then enlightens his brothers, saying, "Though we were all equal unto her, she had great partiality for Dhananjay. She obtains the fruit of that conduct today, O best of men." Pratibha Ray draws inspiration from this statement and develops a storyline, which depicts a deep link between Arjuna and Draupadi. This is a relationship which surpasses the boundaries of the physical into the realms of spirituality. Arjuna is projected as a manifestation of Krishna himself, and this image helps in the development of a physical-spiritual relationship between him and Draupadi. Even before the Swayamvara, Krishna mentally prepares Draupadi to accept Arjuna as her lord. Pratibha Ray goes deep into the details of her love and spiritual surrender to Arjuna. At times, Arjuna and Krishna seem to be one with each other, that Draupadi herself is confused about their identity. Krishna himself discloses to Draupadi through his words, "Except for me, who else would keep roaming by your side in the form of Arjuna? Did you not know that Sakha Arjun and I are the same?" During the Swayamvara, when Draupadi sees Arjuna disguised as a Brahmin, she is impressed by his handsome looks and readily accepts him as her husband. Later, when she guesses his identity, she is overjoyed. But this is short-lived when she is asked to marry all 5 brothers in the name of Dharma. Arjuna also agrees to this proposition silently but could never forgive Draupadi for agreeing to this condition laid by Kunti and Yudhishthira. Arjuna expresses his inner feeling of agony not in words, but in deeds. He directs barbed words against her, while Draupadi inwardly blames Arjuna for agreeing to share her with his brothers. It is during this juncture that Pratibha Ray introduces a character called Maya, whom Krishna presents to Draupadi as a wedding gift. From this point onwards, Maya becomes Draupadi's companion and remains with her in all her joys and sorrows, till the Mahaprasthana. Maya's intervention in Draupadi's life is so deep that it is she, who along with Maharshi Narada lays down the rules for Draupadi's systematic and happy married life with her 5 husbands. In Vyasa's Mahabharata, it is the Pandavas themselves who lay down rules for martial harmony with Draupadi. Kesari Mohan Ganguly's prose translation of the epic describes the incident as follows: the illustrious Pandavas, thus addressed by the great Rishi Narada, consulting with one another, established a rule among themselves in the presence of the celestial Rishi himself endued with immeasurable energy. And the rule they made was that when one of them would be sitting with Draupadi, any of the other 4 who would see that one thus must retire into the forest for 12 years, passing his days as a brahmacharin. After the virtuous Pandavas had established rule amongst themselves, the great Muni Narada, gratified with them, went to the place he wished. Another deviation Ray adopts in the novel is when Draupadi decides to live as a brahmacharini during Arjuna's turn to live with her as he proceeds on a 12-year exile, when she should have spent that period with Yudhishthira under a prior understanding. No such incident has been mentioned in the Mahabharata, except that the Pandava brothers and Draupadi were unwilling to let Arjuna go on exile. It has been clearly mentioned in the Mahabharata of Vyasa that Arjuna had married the Naga princess Ulupi, and the princess of Manipura, Chitrangada during the exile. It is also mentioned that he had visited the kingdom of Kalinga, among other places, during his wanderings. But Pratibha Ray specially mentions that he marries the princess Arya of Kalinga, during this period. Pratibha Ray, who hails from Oriya, seems to have been influenced by a popular legend of the region and mentions this in her novel. Pratibha Ray has introduced several emotional dialogues and scenes between Arjuna and Draupadi to word paint the depth of their love for each other. Draupadi's relationship with Krishna becomes the main motive force in the novel. All through the novel, Draupadi's deep spiritual attachment to Krishna is portrayed minutely. It is Krishna who gives her the inner strength to accept all the 5 Pandavas as her husbands and serve them without partiality or preference for any one over the other. The all-encompassing love for Krishna, whom she looks upon as a savior, makes her open-hearted that she advocates for the unity of the Aryan and non-Aryan race in Aryavart. This storyline helps Pratibha Ray to bring in the theme of Aryan and Aryan integration, and Draupadi is seen working for the education and upliftment of the backward foresters. Pratibha Ray further develops this theme by making Draupadi request Bhima to spare the life of Kirmira. Vyasa's Mahabharata depicts Kirmira as heartless Rakshasa who is killed by Bhima without second thoughts in Kirmira Vadhapava. But Pratibha Ray's Kirmira is very human, respectful to Draupadi, and even addresses her as mother. Thus, through the deviation in the storyline, Pratibha Ray is able to effectively present the theme of national integration in India. Pratibha Ray also projects Draupadi as a human being who wants to spend her life serving mankind. Even though a queen herself, she rejects all luxuries and vows that she will never wear any jewelry. To highlight this attitude of Draupadi, Pratibha Ray retells the episode of Bhima going in search of Saugandhika lotus, which is fancied by Draupadi. Pratibha Ray further stretches the storyline where Kubera meets Draupadi and presents her with numerous golden lotuses. But Draupadi, who realizes the futility of accumulating wealth, rejects his offer and even goes to the extent of renouncing all jewelry and riches for the cause of human welfare. As the first step of integration, Draupadi suggests that roads should be built linking the forests of Kamyaka, Dwata, Nimisha and the city of Hastinapura. Pratibha Ray does not try the technique of demythification like Mt. Vasudevan Nair but only visualizes and analyzes the events through the eyes of the transformed Draupadi of her novel. The author retains all episodes of divine intervention, like the scene in which Draupadi is able to protect herself with the help of Krishna, when Dusasana tries to disrobe her. She even borrows a popular legend to explain why Krishna helps her in that situation. She narrates an incident in which Draupadi dresses Krishna's wounded finger with a strip torn off her sari's anchal. In return of that piece of cloth, Krishna provides Draupadi with incessant flow of cloth of cover her nakedness before the Kaurava Sabha. Krishna tells Draupadi, I did not do anything at all out of the way for you. Whatever you have done, it was the debt that I repaid and am free now. In nursing me on the day of the ceremonial entrance to the new palace, you had torn the auspicious sari received from your husband to bondage my finger in the shape of cloth. It was that which I returned. By offering thread to get cloth in return, that is faith. The incident of Draupadi being helped by Krishna is probably a reiteration of a folklore and runs in a close parallel to another popular legend in South India, which narrates the story in which Krishna had been provided with a piece of cloth torn from her sari by Draupadi, when he had lost his loincloth while bathing in a river. Finally, in the novel, Draupadi is seen requesting to Krishna for a rebirth on earth instead of attaining Swaga. She discloses her wish to serve her motherland by serving the less fortunate and condemns war and destructive weapons. Pratibha Ray deviates from the narration in the epic original and adds this twist to the story to project an image of Draupadi who is aware of the current world affairs and has an inclination for social service. Certainly, let's delve deeper into the elements that make Yajnaseni, the story of Draupadi, by Pratibha Ray, a captivating retelling of the Mahabharata. Narrative voice and perspective. Ray's decision to narrate the story from Draupadi's perspective is a significant departure from traditional retellings, which often focus on male protagonists. By giving Draupadi agency as the central narrator, Ray invites readers to view the epic's events through her eyes. This shift in perspective allows for a more nuanced exploration of Draupadi's character, motivations, and experiences, which are often overshadowed in mainstream retellings. Character complexity and development. In Yajnaseni, Draupadi emerges as a fully developed character with her own strengths, flaws, and agency. Ray delves into Draupadi's inner conflicts, desires, and struggles, portraying her as a multidimensional figure rather than a mere archetype. This depth of characterization humanizes Draupadi and makes her more relatable to readers, enhancing their engagement with the narrative. Feminist reinterpretation. Ray's retelling can be seen as a feminist reinterpretation of the Mahabharata, challenging traditional gender roles and stereotypes. Draupadi is depicted as a strong, independent woman who refuses to conform to societal expectations of feminine passivity and obedience. Ray highlights Draupadi's agency and resilience in the face of patriarchy, offering a powerful critique of gender inequality and oppression. Exploration of female experience. Through Draupadi's narrative, Ray explores the complexities of the female experience in ancient India. She depicts the challenges and constraints faced by women in a patriarchal society, including issues of consent, autonomy, and identity. Ray's portrayal of Draupadi's relationships with her husbands, her brother, and other female characters provides insights into the dynamics of gender and power in ancient Indian society. Cultural and historical context. Ray's retelling is grounded in the cultural and historical context of ancient India, drawing on elements of mythology, religion, and social customs to enrich the narrative. She pays careful attention to detail in her portrayal of the setting, costumes, rituals, and language of the time, creating a vivid and immersive world that feels authentic and true to the spirit of the original epic. Philosophical and ethical reflections. Yajnaseni is not just a retelling of the Mahabharata but also a philosophical and ethical inquiry into the nature of duty, morality, and destiny. Ray raises profound questions about the consequences of human actions, the nature of justice, and the role of fate in shaping individual lives. Through Draupadi's introspective reflections and dialogues with other characters, Ray explores timeless philosophical themes that resonate with readers across cultures and generations. In sum, Yajnaseni, the story of Draupadi, by Pratibha Ray stands out as a compelling retelling of the Mahabharata that offers a fresh perspective on its timeless themes and characters. Through Draupadi's narrative, Ray challenges traditional stereotypes, explores complex ethical and philosophical questions, and creates a richly textured portrayal of ancient Indian society and culture.